Okay, so the next thing we gotta cover is how to move in relation to how my partner moves. So just like we explained before, I want to stay within that range of being able to touch when I want to be able to touch, and keeping him at a range where he can't hurt me. So what we're gonna do is when my partner moves to the left, I'm gonna mirror the same step so that we stay in line. When he moves the other way, same thing, I mirror. And I make sure that I stay within that same range so that we never lose contact with each other. He steps back, same thing, moving in. He comes forward, I'm always at that exact same range, and this way I can track my partner's movement. A lot of times what happens is guys move, and then guys move here, and then we start circling each other and chasing each other. We don't want that. I want to keep him in front of me so that I know where my target is at all times. So when Rich moves to the side, I'm right here and I can track him. When he moves back, I'm right here and I can track him. I know I can always land my shots.
Okay, now we want to move from initiating offense into the covering, the parrying catches, and the evasions, and being able to do that with all of our different tools, be able to defend those and then return. Okay, defend and then go on to offense. So from here, first we'll just talk about the cover. And the first thing I just want to point out, because sometimes this could be a little confusing to people, is there's two primary thoughts when it comes to, say, a high cover. So if I'm back to this and Coach Kevin throws his right hand and he ends with a technique here, there's a couple thoughts. One is you might see me do something like this, where I really pull my arm like this, cover the spot he's trying to land on, and now by bringing this forward, I've done what? I've loaded this side to return. The one thing about it, though, that I alluded to a few minutes ago is that if I do that, he already has his guard up back here if he is at all disciplined with his guard. So it's already in place. So what this does really well is it allows me to really load and have power. It doesn't so much facilitate being able to hit the open line. By comparison, if I go vice versa, if I do this, okay, I just cover and then I come in as he's retracting that punch. I don't have quite as much power, but I am able to often get in there and beat him on the retraction. Okay, so there are two different thoughts and two different types of basically cover and then return that you have to be aware of. For the most part, I usually like to train everybody in both, but I usually start with returning on the same line that they just hit. Okay, there's a little bit of personal preference. There's a time and a place for each. Okay, so for instance, to give an example of where I might want to do the opposite, I might want to use the power load from here instead. So he throws that right hand. Okay, I load this. Now when I throw this one, I know he's going to cover it himself. So I'm using it, just go across and then do a nice cover yourself. So he covers, he does the same thing, but what I'm doing here isn't so much knowing that I'm going to land that punch. I see his covers up. I'm doing this just basically to draw his guard high so that I can kick behind it, okay? So that would be one example. Or from here, okay, let's say he throws a punch again, okay, boom, and I throw like a big overhand, right, boom. And now from here, I'm doing this just to basically load all of his weight into that direction so that then I can find that spot. And basically I'm just kind of using the momentum of my punch to sort of knock him into the next punch, right? Using my load. Not so much to land the first one I threw, but for the follow-up. So there are some times and places where both can be equally effective depending on what you're doing. So from here, first of all, covering. So here, then I can return same side. If he comes with a lead hand, okay, cover, and then from here, I can return same side. Forward again, okay, cover. I might throw a different line again, cover, that. So as you bring your hand back afterwards, boom. So it's coming back, right? Finding the open line as you do this. Okay, so again, the lead side, okay, cover, he's retracting, okay, and I throw my punch in, right? Just finding that opening as it's coming on the way back. Okay, so that would be working on your covers versus the punches. Now from here, if he's throwing a hook line, okay, again, I'm covering, and it's really the same thing. I just have to make sure my cover's in the right place. Because if I'm doing a cover for a straight punch when he throws a hook, go ahead, he's going to step in and he's going to find that hole and knock me out. So the only difference now is as he steps in, okay, from here, if I wanted to beat him on the lead side, okay, I wouldn't do a big motion like this. Okay, so go ahead and step in one more time. Okay, you can see from here, I'm basically set up to either return on this side with a hook or this side with an uppercut in most cases. Okay, so again, that could be very effective if he steps in. So I effectively cover the right spot, and now I throw this, but he's ready for it. Okay, so I don't score, but maybe what I do is I kind of knock his weight that way a little bit so that everything shifts onto that leg and I can kick it. It's just one possible example. Okay, so that's where that may come in, being very effective. So one more time. Okay, cover. I throw this, even if he covers, now I'm able to load him into the next technique, right? My other option, again, is to cover the correct spot so he doesn't hit me in the temple, jaw, chin, or even ear, and then I'm going to fire back the same side. So when I do that, I'm not going to do a big load here like this. I'm going to stay a little bit more neutral. So from here, and now as he's in the process of retracting, okay, maybe I fire here, okay, or go ahead, boom, and as he was retracting, maybe I fire there, just kind of step in and loop that in to the same side shot, okay? And really, again, we have the two different types of concepts. Beating the punch on the same side, I'm not going to load my defense quite as much. If I do load it a little bit more, then I'm coming back with power. Just be ready to know that tactically, he may already have his guard. Now let's take a look at the uppercuts. Again, as I mentioned, my partner's throwing an uppercut. One of the simple things I can do is just make a very slight shift to make sure that my hand is in between the contact point of my chin and that fist. And I don't have to come way off the zone that I'm trying to cover with that arm to do it. In other words, it's not dropping down like carrying the center, like zone 5, that middle zone. From here, it's just very slight, like that. So there's not a lot of time interval for them to come up and then have an open line to hit you with the other hand. So anytime this happens, again, this is a little bit of a gift. I alluded to this already, where this is the one time where I will be blocking a punch really correctly, left to left and right to right, as opposed to blocking his left hand, right, with like with a jab, for instance, blocking his left hand with my right, or throw a hook, left hand with my right. Typically that's going to be it. This is the one time where I do cross. So as he throws that, I'm very well sorted to come into that high zone, okay? That's why a lot of times in boxing, you'll see them get really low and level change, and it's this very spring-loaded maneuver where they don't really disengage their elbow and their arm from their body too much, okay? So try and minimize the risk there. But I do have it, so again, one more time from here. I throw that right in. It becomes with the other side, okay? So my lead side is now open on the counter. So I defend with a rear, go ahead, and this one is right there, ready to go. So one more time, lead side, here, rear side, here. You notice how you have that built in. If your defense is there, you're right ready to beat him to the punch with that open line with your opposite hand.
We use the rear takedown. I sneak up behind, I wrap his waist, I hug his waist tight, and now keeping my head low, I block the foot. My foot, whichever side my head is on, my head's right here, that's the foot I want to block. Now I'm going to sit down, bend your knees please. I'm going to block, sit on the ground and pull heat on. And then go on top. And I end up in a modified mount, and I win. Hold on, catch him please. It's called the rear takedown. You can use it when you sneak up on someone, if they're beating someone up, or if you get there in the fight. So block the foot strong, sit, pull, and go on top. Knee behind the head, modified mount, and you win. Nice. Pass, Rand.
Notice that because, go ahead, Rand, hold me. because her body is on this side, she's looking this way.
And she's gonna block this foot.
Block that foot.
And Hito's gonna fall this way. Hito purposely, that was very nice. Hito purposely falls towards the safe side, with the side that she's taking him and not on her. Okay? Very good. Obviously, against someone her size, Rayanne would have more control over the direction of the fall. But with Hito, obviously, he kind of guides himself in a safe direction. Haley, ideally, we want to keep the foot on the hip, sorry, on the heel. So you don't want to do this and then make your leg out of the way. Kids, put your foot there and leave it there. Leave it, and then go all the way over. So the longer you leave that foot on the heel, the better. Modified mount and up. No problem. What else? Yeah, you don't want to hold your hands all the way till the end because then the bad guy ends up on top of your hand. So from here, when I sit down and I block his heel, look how I'm blocking it, by the way. My foot is here, okay, on his heel. Block, sit down over here, because I want to pull Hito on this side. So I sit on the other side and pull, and then I let go of my hands. So right before Hito lands on my arm, I let go and I tuck it in. For practice purposes, sit up, please. If Hito lands on my arm, stand up a little more, my leg under your butt over my leg. If Hito lands on my arm, parents, lift your hips up a little bit so the arm can come out. So Hito purposely takes his weight off my bottom arm if it gets stuck under there. Because his body weight might keep it trapped and I won't be able to climb up effectively. So allow, cooperate there, and you'll be good to go.
That little base check is good.
Yes, we should.
From when you hold my waist right here, I kind of move a little bit. His legs are strong. He's very heavy.
No base. Terrible. So we're going to do first a base check. We'll start in the rear clinch. Remember, this is the front clinch. Boom. And then this is the rear clinch. From here, we control for like 5 seconds while he checks the base, moving around. After 5 seconds, parents, stop moving. Kids, block, sit, pull, and go on top. Which foot do you block? Which foot do you block?
The one you can see.
The side that your head is looking. Boom. Okay? And also, when you block the foot and you fall down, don't put your hand out on the ground. Kids, when you fall back, don't do this. Keep your hands around the waist. Look, my hands stay, and then I tuck it in.
Do it by yourself one time.
Yeah, great idea. So from here, from here I block the foot, I sit, and I tuck. There's no hand on the ground and no elbow on the ground. It's just kind of tuck your arm in and roll like this. I think we got it. Rear takedown. Start in the rear clinch. And then from there, check for 5 seconds, block, sit, pull. Once you perfect it, we'll throw it in.